2019, a string of bizarre encounters left families across a small American town both relieved and terrified. Their deepest grief mysteriously lifted by a stranger who called themselves the Grief Eater. But when those same families were visited again, by someone or something wearing the face of their lost loved ones, what dark secret was uncovered? The story begins with Emily Carter, a 32-year-old loner living on the outskirts of Millview, Ohio. Emily was known for her quiet demeanor and a past marked by tragedy. Her father overdosed when she was 14. Her mother took her own life 2 years later, and a close friend died in her apartment from a drug overdose. Despite her pain, Emily had a peculiar gift. She could ease others' suffering, or so her clients believed. Word spread in Millview's tight-knit community about a woman who could take away grief, charging thousands to make the unbearable vanish. But Emily carried her own scars, haunted by nightmares of being trapped inside her own body, a prisoner to an unseen force. On a rainy Tuesday in October 2019, Mary Thompson visited Emily with her brother Tommy's baseball cap. Tommy had died by suicide 3 months earlier, leaving Mary sleepless and broken. In Emily's dimly lit apartment, Mary handed over the cap, her hands trembling. Emily locked the door, placed the cap in her mouth, and consumed it, an act she'd done dozens of times before. But this time, something went wrong. As the fabric dissolved, a man's voice echoed in her mind. Finally, Emily's hands froze. Her legs refused to move, and her breath quickened against her will. She was no longer in control. Something, or someone, had taken over her body. Millview police received reports of a strange woman visiting grieving families, claiming to be their lost loved ones. Mary Thompson was the first to report it. She said Emily appeared at her doorstep at 4 a.m., speaking in Tommy's voice, recounting private memories only he could know. Detective Laura Hayes, a seasoned investigator, took the case. Early leads pointed to Emily as a con artist, exploiting vulnerable families for profit. But when Laura interviewed Emily's neighbors, they described her as reclusive, not manipulative. Stranger still, Emily's apartment was filled with objects, rings, journals, clothing, linked to dozens of grieving clients. Was Emily a master manipulator, or was something darker at play? Laura's investigation uncovered conflicting clues. Some clients swore Emily had helped them, their grief vanishing after her visits. Others claimed she returned, demanding more objects, speaking in voices that chilled them to the bone. A local psychologist suggested Emily might suffer from dissociative identity disorder, her mind fractured by her own trauma. But when Laura found no criminal record or history of mental illness, the theory faltered. A neighbor reported seeing Emily leave her apartment at odd hours, her movements stiff, almost puppet-like. Was Emily a victim of her own mind, or was something controlling her? The breakthrough came when Laura discovered a journal in Emily's apartment, hidden under a floorboard. It detailed her gift, consuming objects to absorb grief, and the voices that grew louder inside her. The journal described a night when Emily lost control, her body taken over by a presence calling itself the Chorus. Laura cross-referenced the journal with client reports. 7 families had been visited by Emily, each time speaking in the voice of their deceased loved one. The evidence pointed to something inexplicable. Could Emily's body have become a vessel for something beyond human understanding? On November 3, 2019, Emily was found collapsed in her apartment, surrounded by shattered glass and blood under her fingernails. She was alive but unresponsive, her eyes vacant. In her hand was a pocket knife, a gift from her grandfather, untouched by her gift. Days later, Emily awoke, claiming she'd fought back against the chorus by confronting her own grief. Her parents' deaths, her friends' overdose. She said she'd used her pain to silence the voices, returning their objects to families. But when Laura pressed for answers, Emily's eyes flickered, and for a moment, a stranger's voice spoke. "We're still here." Emily Carter vanished from Millview in 2020, leaving behind her apartment and the objects she'd returned to families. Some say she's helping people heal, listening to their stories instead of consuming their grief. Others believe the chorus still lingers inside her, waiting for a chance to return. Detective Hayes closed the case, unable to explain the voices or Emily's transformation. To this day, the Grief Eater remains Millview's darkest unsolved mystery, a reminder that some pain never truly disappears.